Coach Jesse, we are in the world of nutrition and we're talking about ways to think about portions, getting the portion right. And I really like the precision nutrition resources where they say to use your hand, and the emphasis on your hand, not your hand when you were 21, not your husband's hand, not your sister's hand, your hand. And it's easy because you always have it with you and you can basically follow this template and you'll be getting roughly the right amount of each nutrient that that category represents. Now, sometimes when you eat, everything's blended together. So you have to kind of visually dissect it in your mind and just think about it. It's really easy if you have like a chicken breast, a scoop of broccoli, and a scoop of rice. Then it's like, okay, that's really easy. And a lot of meals I do it that way so that I have an idea exactly of what I'm eating. But it's not always the case. I'm going to go through things to keep in mind about portions and each food category, but you have to completely take ownership of this. You have to figure out what are your favorite things within each category, how to cook them, how to prepare them. I have some resources, but I'm not spelling every detail out because I don't know your preferences. I don't know your complete lifestyle, but you do. So I'm just giving you the framework and you can fill in the blanks, and this works way better than the other way. I'm an advocate of animal-based proteins. I do believe we were originally just herbivores, honestly. However, from a nutrition perspective and like the culture we live in and everything, pursuing animal-based products and proteins seems to be more healthy than having a really heavy plant-based or carbohydrate plant-based diet. Animal meat always is going to have a protein and a fat, never a carbohydrate. It's just not part of an animal protein. Now, the type of, like, let's say steak, right? A filet or a New York strip has way less marbling, way less fat than the ribeye. So the ribeye could have the same amount of protein, but it might be twice the amount of calories because of all the fat in it. Now, I'm not anti-fat. The fat has the flavor. But what I am saying is you have to be aware of that. You can be getting a lot of protein, but if you're getting a lot of fat, that's going to lead to a lot of weight gain. Now, if I'm a green and I'm choosing between the two steaks and I only have so much room in my stomach, I might go for the one that supplies the fat and the protein, not just the protein. So it goes both ways. A green doesn't do what a blue does, and a blue doesn't always do what a green does. Now, there is another category of protein, and that does come from plants. That would either be soy or quinoa. Now, peas, peanuts, rice, all these things do have protein, but they don't have the complete amino acids that your body needs because your body can't create all the amino acids it needs. It has to derive it from diet. And the only sources are animal-based products like meat, dairy, eggs, and from the plant-based world, it's soy and quinoa. Personally, I don't eat a lot of soy, but I do like quinoa, which is a grain, and it happens to have a complete amount of all the amino acids. It's a complete protein. Going into carbs. So there's different categories of carbs. Personally, when I eat carbs, I'm going tubers, so it's potatoes and sweet potatoes. I am doing some grains, whether it's oats, rice, or quinoa, like I just mentioned. I'm doing possibly legumes, so my favorites are split peas and lentils because they're so high in fiber, but that's also things like beans, and then fruit. Personally, for me, a dessert is fruit, whether it's dried or fresh. You do have to watch out for added sugar. And again, there are starchier carbs. There are ones with higher glycemic indexes, lower glycemic indexes. Depending on who you are and what you need to accomplish, you have to be mindful of that. Now, veggies as a nutrient category, remember, corn is a grain. Oftentimes when you ask for veggies at a restaurant, they have like broccoli, carrots, and corn. Corn is not a vegetable, I guess, in the sense that it's a plant, but it's a grain, meaning it has a lot of carbohydrates in it. The whole point of vegetables is not necessarily the carbohydrates in it. It's the micronutrients and the fiber and the roughage. So that's why I'm an advocate of dark leafy green vegetables. That's your broccoli, bok choy, spinach, kale, cauliflower. And then fats. when you're cooking or when you're eating, typically the fats they're eating, they're part of animal meat, like the animal fat, or it's the oil you're cooking in, or it's cream or cheese, or it's part of like the sauce, the sauce that's in something. So there's very few foods that is just fat alone and not, something else. And then when we're cooking, you're cooking in oil or cooking in fat. While we're on this topic, personally, I cook in tallow or lard, animal fat, butter or ghee. And then the only plant-based oils I would recommend is olive oil, possibly coconut oil or avocado oil. Olive oil is probably the best one, um, in my opinion. And I think it just tastes better if you're using it on like a salad. My favorite salad dressing is lemon juice, fresh squeezed lemon, or just the little squirty thing, olive oil, and salt. It's like you do that with some lettuce, spinach, and some fresh like raw carrots and red pepper. Dude, that's a banging salad. A little sprinkle of Parmesan cheese. You don't need to put a bunch of ranch on there, all that stuff. That is a good thing to eat. All right, so our takeaways here is you have to do your own work. Find what are your favorites. What's your favorite meal? What's your staples for each of those categories? And keep in mind that the portions you eat, it's your palm for protein. It's your hand for the veggie or the carb. It relates to you and your goal. And then look at your favorite meals that you eat. Are those portions of those nutrients in line with what you should be eating?